Hello. Hello. Oh no. Oh no.
2, 3. There we go. All right, now we're working.
Right.
Hey, look at us.
Right. Does mine sound fine?
Yep, yours is fine. Hey, folks. Hey, it's
Hello.
Technology Day at the Open Door Community Church Podcast after service.
Yay. Yay. So, how's your week been?
Hectic. Well, you know what's funny? Yes, I just got back from a mini vacation.
Right. You were camping.
Yeah, but we also have a new bed arriving tomorrow, which means that we have to make space for that bed and move things around, and there's things to build because it's IKEA. So
Ah,
we have all
yay.
that. Yeah, it's fun. It's just that we never leave enough time to do it in a, yeah.
That's not your guys' way of operating, and that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the Brookhouse way. My sister does this too. Forgive me, people.
Yeah.
This is, we do my little therapy session. It's the idea of looking at things from the most optimistic perspective. For me, it usually has to do with time, not other circumstances. But yeah, Brian, you've known me long enough that there's if I leave at this time and there's no issues with traffic, I should be just fine. There's issues with traffic. Yeah.
And projects always take longer than I assume to. So, and I think that's pretty standard. Even though I know it's going to take longer, so I add time, and it's still more time than I think.
Yeah. Have you heard of Parkinson's
What
rule?
it is? Double it or something like that?
No. The amount of time that you're given to complete a task is equal to the amount of time it takes to complete the task. So effectively, the duration will protract. So if it might only be 2 weeks of effort, but if you give me 2 months, it will take me 2 months. If you give me 2 weeks, it'll take 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
True. Generally speaking, that seems to be the case. So, anyways, well, I'm glad you're enjoying the whole tearing down furniture and putting furniture up and all that. Our house has been fine. Kathy had her surgery yesterday, and it's gone really well. Very little pain. Yeah, doing fine. Yeah, getting around on her little knee scooter around the house. So
it seems to me that her playful nature means that once she gets comfortable with that, she's going to be running you all down.
Probably. Yeah, running the dogs over. She wants a horn for it.
One of the meep horns.
Yep. So I got to go find her one just for the fun, because she's going to be using that thing for next month or so. So, yeah, might as well. Anyways, that's what's going on with our lives. And the boys are off at work, and Jesse's at work, and the dogs are sleeping. So hopefully it stays quiet around here.
Well, and if it doesn't, people are used to the fact that I have 3 dogs. These things happen. Yeah. So let's get into our elevator speech from the sermon on Sunday. What's our the quick points?
Quick points. So we're looking at Ephesians 1 through really 4, but focusing primarily on 1 through 3, and it's Paul's sweeping description of humanity. I mean, in Romans 1, he does the same thing, but in a lot more verses. He's saying more in there too, but here he's just simply describing the way we were outside of Christ, and it's pretty stark that we follow the ways of the world, which is following the ways of Satan, which following our passions, following. Just because I want to read it so people get the sense of what really is being said here, because so many times, here's my basic point. Here, I'll just say it this way. Paul describes what we bring to the equation of salvation, and it's nothing but demerit and worthy only of judgment. That's what we bring. But God, verse 4, rescues us from that in spite of our predisposition to do what's wrong. That's basically the topic. But one of my points I really kind of wanted to make was is that we read verses like this, and they're so stark and so not optimistic about human beings, and very much in contrast to our present worldview of what a human being and possibilities, and that people are basically good, that we kind of, even as Christians, gloss over these and don't really think about how big of a deal they are. So I'm just going to read it, and I want us to just think about how stark this is. Where's free will in this? Where is our will? Where's good works in all of this? And it says, and you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you once walked, following the course of the world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desire of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath like the rest of mankind. Oh, but God.
In 2 words, you suck. Yeah. Well, and it was very clear to me that what you were setting up was that you have to acknowledge your current status in order to, and it's interesting and was not intentional that the word desperate was something that was on my mind on Sunday, that there has to be a sense of you can't do this,
right.
A desperation that recognizing the lowliness of your circumstance, so that you recognize your position, first of all, and second of all, recognize that the only way to escape from that is to be rescued, not to climb your way out of it.
You can't climb your way out of it. You can't. You work your way out. No amount of an infusing of ability is going to fix this, which is what I'm really focusing on this Sunday. That there's, kind of adding to what I've already said. Yeah, you can't. The effusement of energy of divine ability doesn't really fix the problem, because we are so in desperate need. We need a radical solution, and that means God has to do something dramatic. We're that desperate.
Yeah.
So, but it's what it does is it helps us appreciate grace. It helps us to appreciate how the diamond that it is, His love for us.
There's something I'd like to share related to that. It makes me think of people trying to escape from drug abuse or alcohol abuse, and if you've ever been had somebody like that in your life, my experience has been when you offer to help, they reject it, and there's I'm just going to do it. Okay, how are you going to do it? I'm just going to do it. Do you have a plan? No. And a lot of it just takes that individual recognizing how dire their circumstances are before they will ask for the help that they desperately need. And sometimes, as with our own relationship with grace, we go through these waves. You'll excuse continuing the analogy, but an alcoholic is always an alcoholic, right? You are constantly fighting against that nature. And for us with sin, we are saved once and always and continuously, because we are sinners continuously, that we're never not sinners. And at the point where we think we are beyond our vileness, let's just that's a terrible word, but I mean, it's kind of there, that we kind of have to embrace the fact that we're trash. Well, that sounds bad, but You know,
We are hopelessly addicted to sin.
yeah, yeah.
In fact, one of the theologians I like to read on this specific topic, does use that, in fact, that analogy of addicted to sin,
Mm,
that the addiction model works. Even the first was, it's the first or second or just the first step of the 12 step process is, of recognizing that my life is unmanageable and I'm powerless to change it. It's something along those lines. And recognizing that that's our circumstance outside of Christ, that my life is unmanageable, that this is not okay. I don't like this and I can't fix it. I need something else. Something's got to change. That's kind of where you have to get. I mean, in addiction, people talk about bottoming out. It's this
hmm
getting to the place where they know that this is not going to work how they've done it. More effort is not going to fix it. More, buckling down. No, something different has to happen, and that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's you can watch people uh, before they bottom out continually try to, oh, I think I can do this, and they try to
Hmm.
affect that change, and it doesn't work. With
Right.
somebody,
Sometimes it makes it work.
yeah, it does. It does make it worse. If somebody is resourceful, they can go on for a long time not recognizing that they need grace.
Right.
And so your stubbornness is your resourcefulness in this regard is to your detriment.
Wow. Yes, I think that's exactly it. It is to your detriment because it prevents you from accepting the grace when you think you have to do something, or that there's something within you to fix yourself. That why should I look outside myself when there's something within me that can do this, which there isn't. But and here's the thing that people really, I want people to hear is, as dark as this sounds, it actually, the truth of it is this is extremely good news, because it gets us off the treadmill of trying to fix ourselves and says, God, you need to do it for me. You need to recreate me. I need grace. And so, yeah, in fact, this is the language I'm working on all week. It's like, how do I say this? Is how do I make it? How do I help people see that this is, that in the end, it's helpful, and it's not, because if we have to do something to get better, even if we have to add a little grace in there, or our ability, it ultimately still rests on me, and that's such a heavy weight. Rather than saying, as I talked, on Sunday, is this, you need to just stop and let God save you.
Well, there's
Stop, shut down, and let Him rescue you.
excuse me. Um, the word that keeps coming to my mind is empowerment,
Mm,
and it would seem that this resignation that we're talking about would be the opposite of empowerment. Like, I am resigned to who I am in my nature, and therefore I need help. Right? That sounds like, well, then I'm
right.
not empowered, because empowerment says, what can I do? But we do have the choice, and we are empowered to make the choice to say, I cannot nor should I handle this, and God, I
Hmm.
give this up to you. It's, if you've ever like tried to like work on a car and you're failing at that, I'm terrible at that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Every once in a while, I like, then my father-in-law's like, let me do that, and that stubbornness that says, no, but I should be able to do this. You can give that away because it's not important.
Right. And letting God, and this is what we're going to get to in next week. This whole, and the whole death life analogy, this recreation, where because that's what Paul does when he pushes this point so hard. hard, whether it's in Romans 5:4-5 or here, is he pushes that so hard of our inability. He disempowers us in one sense so much that it makes us want to throw up our hands and say, well, what's the point, right? And it's at that moment he switches to a death and a resurrection, so that we're a new creation in Christ. And he changes the model where God's creating in us a new person, he's not reclaiming in a sense, he's not repairing. I mean, even though that's true in a sense, he's not just adding something to the original Adam. He's starting a whole new race. And I probably just went way too deep there.
Well,
it's been thinking hard.
You are the potter, we are the clay, right? We are faulty clay jars, and in order to be useful to him, it may be the same materials, but as the potter, he gets to create whatever he wants out of us.
Right. He smashes it down and then reworks it into something new.
Yeah.
Which is why in verse 10 of this very chapter, he uses a language of we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. He's talking about a new creation in Christ. So there's the power. The power is in the new creation that God's doing in you to be what he wants. He doesn't. He makes us to be what we long to be, which is good people. It's crazy stuff. Deep. Makes my head hurt. I have a headache today because I've been thinking so hard about this stupid topic. It's not a stupid topic.
I understand, but sometimes it's, you know this better than I do, that there are things that you grasp on let's call it a cellular, spiritual level. Like, I get what it's saying, but the paraphrase of that is so complex that it's hard to find the analogy that people can connect with.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think about, you have to give up in order to receive that kind of thing, which is like, it's paradoxical. Like, to understand, I mean, your empowerment is in giving up. Your strength is in vulnerability. It's,
right.
all those things that.
It makes sense.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It doesn't make sense, but it does.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's the Christian way. It turns everything on its head. Weakness is strength, and surrender is winning. And yeah, the first is last. It's not merit isn't the base. Our human merit isn't the basis of our favor with God. Our merit means nothing. It's all His merit. It's completely different than the world operates. Completely different.
It's, Sam, we talked to Sam about this kind of stuff, actually. The idea that that you always have a choice in how you respond to something.
True.
And you can take a position of like giving over to God and letting Him take control of things as a choice versus, fine, God, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. I can't. One is a position as a victim where circumstances are against me, so I guess I'll just give up. Versus, God, I think I'm truly not capable of this. Please take this.
And it's worth stating that this position that we're talking about of where Paul and really Jesus and Peter too, in one sense, disempowers us, saying we really can't do it. That doesn't make it where it doesn't render them passive at all.
Right.
Whether it's Paul or Peter or Jesus. No, they're very, very active in choosing how they're going to respond to something. They're very thoughtful. That makes them extremely active. It turns them away from worrying about themselves, being able to actually think outwardly because they know they're secure in who they are, because they don't have to earn anything. They don't have to earn their security. They don't have to earn their love. They don't have to incur their favor. All this deep, significant things in their world is already completely set, that can't be altered by my bad behavior. So therefore, I am free to be gracious and respond in a positive, good way to somebody who is not being that way.
Yeah. It's if you spend all your time hunting for food and then somebody, God says, I've got that taken care of. I'd like you to spend your time not trying to gather food or hunting. I'd rather see you taking care of other people. That, you know, the thing that keeps coming into my head is, well, why should I do anything? I mean, God's going to take care of it all. So cool. Or not even cool, but just like, there's nothing for me to do. To me, it's not true. It's like, hey, you can't do anything about who you are and your nature. So give that up.
Right.
Because then once you stop taking the focus off of yourself and trying to prove yourself and trying to earn, your salvation, you can go out and help other people recognize that they too
Right.
don't need to work so hard, and that there's this gift here waiting.
And I'm glad you said that, because that is the crux of the pushback, is saying that if you make his favor, his grace so free, then people will say, well, then why do anything? If it doesn't matter, why I should be able to do whatever I want. Right. And Paul specifically has to address that. And he does that in chapter 6 of Romans. And it's like, and his answer is this very thing that and I love your analogy. It's a great analogy. It's like, but wait a minute, God's recreating you so that you don't need to think about that stuff. Because because this is what I've been spending my whole week just pounding my brain with, is this whole cheap versus free grace stuff. And I haven't even really been able to fully be able to put it together in an articulate way, but it's, if you, and maybe I can't say it better than what you just said, is if we try and say, but grace can't be cheap, so I have to do something to make sure I keep it, then you really still are saying that it's not saved by grace. You're saying it works are necessary, and if works are necessary, it still rests on me. If it rests on me, I got to be worried about me. I can't be worried about somebody else. So if you know that you're okay by yourself without worrying, you don't have to. It doesn't have to do with my works. It's an alien righteousness, a righteousness not on my own, says Paul in Philippians. Then I can take a breath, rest from my own earning, and go, I'm going to think about other people. I'm going to think about other people. I'm going to take care of other people. And I love your food analogy. That's so good. That works. Or I want you to, I just want you to take care of other people. I want you to make up food for other people, because when you come home at night, you always have plenty to eat.
Do you think that's why we have a culture that's so focused, at least from a Christian culture perspective, that's so focused on pointing out other people's trespasses? Is that we are under the impression that other people need to be worthy of that grace?
I think so. I think it's built. I think it's built into the human race. It's not just in Christians that do this, that point out the faults in other people, but it's upsetting to us, because we know that that's not how it should be. We shouldn't be judged. We shouldn't be worried about their sin, And so, and while I like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who came up with that phrase "cheap grace," I think I think it lends itself to a judgmental Christianity that we got to be really careful. We got to be careful with this whole topic to begin with. But yeah, I think possible. Yeah, and it might also be a sense of needing to stand taller than them. It's like middle school, where you know I'm insecure about me, so I'm going to point out a flaw in you so I can be a little bit taller than you, a little bit better, because if I can make you lower, I'm clear by default, I'm higher. I think that's a part of the same thing, because our standard is other human beings rather than absolute perfection. And that's really the problem with some of this, is we make the law so we lower the standard of perfection to merely being a good person. And so we think we can attain that. And so we're trying to knock everybody out, because we know we don't grade on the curve, but we live like we do.
Yeah. I think it also doesn't have to be the immature, I will tear you down to build myself up, but also the idea that, I'm in a better position than you, and therefore it's my responsibility to help you, not recognizing that, you use this term on Sunday, Jesus condescended to us appropriately because he is in a vastly superior position. At the point where spiritually we think we are in a vastly superior position to people, we are helping them up. And I think that is the antithesis of what we're talking about, of recognizing that we're dirt too.
Oh, there's such an arrogance to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mean to call us immature, but at the same time,
we are.
I think that all of human behavior can be found in little kids. We just get better at it as we get older.
We do a better job of shielding, or putting a little film over it, a filter.
Hiding it, masquerading it.
Yeah.
We get better at lying. We get better at putting these little. So we just get better at it. We just get better at it. So that it's not as obvious. But we do. Humans are humans, whether they're 2 or whether they're 100. We're better at it. And I know that's a dark sense of humanity. But again, you read Ephesians 2 and you go, darn, Paul, come on, can you lighten up a little bit?
Lighten up, buddy.
I know. I think it's helpful for us to really to get this. I really do. It'll set us free. It'll stop the anxiety. Because I know people who struggle very much with, how come I'm not better? As it's like, yeah, because you're thinking about you. So I don't know. Trust Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways,
all right.
Pray for me on Sunday. Trying to figure out how to state this. Yeah.
Well, we'll have time to chat a little bit in the morning, and looking forward to having Dan up there to help us out.
Yay!
So it'll be his first Sunday helping out, leading worship. I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. Dan there.
Thanks for joining us tonight. If you have questions or things I can possibly, or Joe can possibly help clarify, let me know. I always say that nobody ever puts in comments, but maybe they will this time. So
the invitation's out there, folks.
It's always out there. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. I pray you would have a peaceful weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.
See you Sunday.